Tim McRae, Chief Economist, Meat and Livestock Australia.
So Tim, with your presentation today, you were first focusing on the drought that's occurring in Northern Australia. What impact are they having on beef prices and the beef herd?
It's been a sustained liquidation, and it's really been the extent of the drought that has just seen a sustained run of very high female kills, which over time is going to just decrease numbers available in the future. So effectively, the further and longer this drought goes on, the more cattle processed, the bigger the supply hole that's been created for years to come.
So when you say female kill, how high is it at the moment across the nation?
Yeah, look, we've killed more female cattle in the last 12 months than we killed in over 30 years, than in previous 30 years. So, we're talking nearly half the annual kill has been females. Normally, it's around about low 40%. And in recent months it's been up over 50%. So producers are still just being forced to cull their breeding stock, which, given they know that the drought will break one day, that's the kind of stock you've got to then go back and either breed up or buy, and that's an expensive option.
Now, you're the Chief Economist with MLA. So what have you noted in your analysis of returns to producers after this drought does break, as in going on past history?
We went back and looked at previous times where we've seen an extended period of drought, extended period of slaughter, and what's happened in the corresponding period immediately after that. And what we've seen is, without fail, there's been a significant increase in price because the supply of cattle just aren't there. So the Australian cattle industry, very dependent on seasonal conditions. If it's dry, cattle will come in and depress prices. If that dry goes on for long enough, the eventual result is that the supply of cattle will get tighter and the price will go up.
Now, with the current forecasts from the Bureau of Meteorology indicating that southern Australia, southeastern Australia may have well below average rainfall in the next few months leading into spring and up to summer, what impact do you think that will have on slaughtering and also the impact on prices?
That's the big question, because currently, after such a good autumn and winter in southern regions, we're still seeing big numbers of cattle being processed. So we think a lot of producers are still very spooked by the potential El Nino. Some on-farm water supplies are still low. But I think if we see a good spring, we'll see numbers in the south tighten up considerably. We'll see cattle from the north starting to fill where producers are looking for animals, and that'll tighten the market a lot. But what we're still worried about is that we do see El Nino conditions, and that'll just make it much more difficult, particularly for the northern New South Wales areas that are still in drought. That will just accentuate the deterioration they're seeing.
A lot of producers see the record prices that US cattle producers are getting. It's a common comment around, why can they get record prices? Our dollar is below parity, yet our prices are reasonably depressed. What's the reasoning?
The US industry at the moment has a 60-year low cattle herd. They've got a 60-year low calf crop. They've got very cheap corn. Corn is their major input, whereas for the Australian industry, you could say the major input is grass. So their industry is chasing cattle, if you like. They're really looking for as many cattle, and processors and lot feeders are having to pay record prices to producers to be able to secure those cattle. It's something that they're going to continue to have for a long time, as opposed to here for Australia, where the demand for our product is very good. We've just got a backlog of supply that we just need to get through to get to that reward of that higher price.
Now, are we seeing that we're getting more product into the US because of those record high prices?
The higher price in the US are luring a lot more product into the US from Australia, and it's actually pulling it away from, 12 months ago, China was pulling it away from the US. Now it's working the other way. So the beef will find its way to the highest price market, and at the moment that's the US. And the US, as of last month, took 36,000 tonnes of beef. It hasn't taken that for 10 years. And it's now our biggest volume market, moving ahead of Japan.
You did mention China, and China has been a success story in the last year or two.
Yeah.
What has actually happened there with that market?
Yeah, look, China, we have direct access into China, which is fantastic. So we benefited from not our two main global competitors, Brazil and the US, not having that, and they have to go through a side door, if you like. But China has realised it needs protein, it needs beef. They are very food safety conscious, and Australian product fits the bill perfectly there. So, they've gone from taking 10,000 tonnes in a year to 10,000 tonnes in a month because they know they need to get that product. They don't have the domestic ability to do it, and Australia supplies the exact product that they're looking for.
Are you confident that China will continue to at least maintain, if not increase, its demand for Australian product?
I've got no doubt China will continue to increase its demand for beef, but what we're likely to see over the longer term is Brazil and the US will get better access into there. But I currently think at the moment that's a market big enough for everyone to get a slice of and do quite well out of.
we've heard about the Korean Free Trade Agreement. It's been signed, sealed and delivered, but has it delivered, or are you seeing any signs of it delivering to the beef industry?
At the moment, no. We're actually still just seeing it's all been signed and sealed. It actually hasn't had any product that would have gone in there under the reduced tariff. But certainly it's, if you like, consolidated the relationship between it. And we're certainly seeing exporters and importers there talking closely, ready for when product effectively becomes cheaper because the tariff rate's been dropped. But it's certainly been good news, and it's glad that we won't lose any more distance on the US, who have product going in there at a reduced tariff rate as well.
Tim McRae, thanks for talking with us today.
Thanks, Bruce.